We took a little bit of a hiatus because life was crazy. But I'm hoping we can get back into the routine and keep up with the haps and work through our struggles internally, externally as a business.
The wise person once told me it's time management.
I still need to get like a sign that says time management. I haven't really been like beating that horse to death, to be honest.
I know. Well, it's good because people were getting tired of hearing it.
Yeah. Well, if you get tired of hearing it, then maybe you should look internally.
Maybe it applies.
Yeah.
No. No, but I mean, so since November.
So end of year, I think 2020, if I had to summarize it, I would say it was definitely a massive learning experience. We did a lot of changes with staff, big time. When 2025 as a whole was just a ton of changes. You know, I was on maternity leave. I got back to work in April.
I feel like you were back earlier than that.
Yes, I was for sure. If I think back on this time last year, spring break, I went to a family vacation with my in-laws.
I think that like on that 11th week, you were like white knuckling it at home.
4 years ago, when I came to work, I did take time off, but it was very similar to my maternity leave. I was still working from home, doing a lot of that. But I specifically remember when I came back into the office, I was still using my breast pump and trying to collect breast milk. And that was very difficult. And it was very short lived because I think a month or two afterwards, then I called it quits and then we were just done. That was its own separate challenge. And I just remember my supply was definitely suffering.
What was your title for 2025 or your
Operations manager.
You're not your title, but your caption for the 2025 year overall.
Learning period because I came back from maternity leave. Thank you. I was coming back from maternity leave. And then a few months later, I had hired our coaching company. May, I was having discussions with them. In June is whenever it like officially started.
They came and met with us though before June. I vividly remember because there were certain people that are not here anymore that were still here. I'm looking forward to seeing those guys.
Which is in 2 weeks.
I know.
So
I'm excited.
Very exciting for that. The big differentiator is the CRM or the ERP or just the software you use.
I'm avoiding of those companies was like, yeah, you're doing great. And the other one is kicking us in the ass.
Yeah.
Into shape. No, that's what you need. Do you want a personal trainer that's like, hey, I know we were going to run a mile, but you only made it halfway and that's fine. I know you're never going to reach your goal. We have a drill instructor of a coach now, which is good.
It is.
And it's not smooth. It's not always easy to swallow, but like you said, that's what you need.
I need that even in my own personal life.
Growth is discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Damn. Hashtag.
I was trying to think what my caption for 2025 would be. Change is too broad and basic. Evolution. Or, yeah, it's a mix of evolution and adaptation. We were keeping the machine moving, all while doing some pretty radical changes, whether it be to staff or whether it be to how we kind of do different things and execute different things within the system and in the field. It was just I'm kind of impressed with ourselves. I'm impressed that when some of those things were first being discussed, it was obviously too, and again, there's some people that were there that are not here anymore, but there was definitely some resistance to the change, especially for those that are very accustomed to the way that we do things and that's their comfort zone. And when you start bringing about some of those moves, and like right now we're like your feet to the fire. Like I know we talked about it, but now we're doing it.
Yeah,
have to do it. It gets uncomfortable. It gets hard, even for me. I fight the good fight in the builder world.
Yeah, you do.
And at the same time, too, it's like very difficult to argue the positive results and the positive like effects of these changes.
I think as human beings, we're so ingrained to go against change because we get comfortable. I will say that another statement that rings a lot in my brain when I think about last year is we were doing the best that we could with the resources that we had.
The knowledge that we had at the time.
Right. And
we thought we were Aspire Power users.
Yeah.
We were, kind of.
And we still are, I guess, if you're comparing to the masses, if you will, but we were also doing a lot of things that we just didn't know. The biggest swing that we've done recently is move from invoiced revenue to earned revenue. Even today, I had a meeting with the owner, aka Pappy, and just trying to explain, hey, what does this account mean of these contract and it's showing negative, and it's well, contract for the year, let's just say $1 million annualized per month, because that's what the customer pays, is going to be whatever $1 million divided by 12 is, insert dollar amount. Really, for earned revenue in the winter time, you're not earning as much revenue compared to the annualized number, the
Right.
monthly number. Then in the summertime, it's actually going to go above the annualized number. Then it evens out over time.
I feel that I don't know why. I see it clearly. I can understand the confusion with that. To me, that's the easiest way to explain it is
Yeah.
nature and the seasons in the industry that we're in.
Yep.
When do you work the most and when do you work hardest? Spring, summer. In Texas, our pretend fall, summer.
Well, and like in the consumer end of things, you want to pay the same amount throughout. You
Right.
don't
It's a
want to
monthly
pay,
service.
of course, in the summertime or when the growing period, you're doing a lot more work. You don't want to have to pay $1,000 bill. You
Right.
would rather pay $250 each month.
Right.
I know, obviously, they're much more than that commercial wise, but I
Yeah.
put myself into the homeowner mode, right?
Yeah. Easy numbers to
Yeah,
about.
exactly. So, but when you're looking at it accounting wise, it looks super bad. If you don't know what you're looking at,
Right. In
don't
the
understand
summertime, you're
it.
spending all this
Mhm.
labor on all these things, and it's
Yeah.
like, and the labor kind of fluctuates, but it's on a higher level
Right. And
in
the
those busy
revenue and the
seasons.
labor is always fluctuating. Your branch expenses kind of stay the same throughout. In the winter periods, if you don't overcome that revenue hump, you're going to be negative. That doesn't mean you're going to shut your doors tomorrow.
Right.
It just means you got to work a little bit extra harder in the winter period if you want to sustain yourself.
But also make sure you understand
Yes, you gotta be
the
able to
movement of the
answer.
numbers.
Exactly. Thankfully, over my tenure here at the company, I'm able to explain that. I see the numbers every single day, so I'm able to understand that. But if you throw in, for you example, you see the numbers, but you don't see the numbers like I do every single day.
I'm not as familiar with the maintenance numbers.
I was having to explain today, Jay, right? Because the contract number, if your book of business again is $1 million, you're going to see the invoice revenue at $1 million divided by 12. It's going to be the same amount every single month. But since we're in earned revenue now, we have 2 tickets in the month of January versus we have 4 tickets in the month of July. I'm going to have double the income in July than I am in January, but technically, invoice wise, it's the same.
But the earned revenue, I think, if I'm now understanding it a little bit more correctly, is it's also going to show you based on the work that you're putting in on the contract, how much money from that contract you're actually earning.
Yes.
Even though, and now I'm talking a little bit out of the side and out of theory here, based on what it is that I know about earned revenue. But is it possible that like my earned revenue could be more
Yes.
than what my monthly payment is
Yes.
actually for my contract?
Yes.
Okay, so exactly. All right, so I'm
You're
understanding.
essentially catching up to it
Right.
as the time
I'm not
progresses.
earning. I'm not,
Right.
even though I'm getting paid. Again, ease of numbers. $5,000. I'm getting paid per month, but I'm not working $5,000 worth
Correct.
of service in December, January,
Mhm.
February.
Mhm.
But again, in June, July, August, I'm still getting paid that
Killing it.
$5,000,
Right.
but I'm earning 7,000, eight
Mhm.
thousand. Okay, cool. That's
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
That is
so
pretty cool.
the whole earned revenue versus invoice revenue, depending on the time of year, it can be a pro, it can be a con. But the earned revenue kind of shows you like realistic numbers. Invoice revenue shows what's in your bank account, but it's not a true production analysis. Like, how am I actually doing? Because per visit, I said that I'm going to get this much dollars, right? And then that visit for that time period cost me this much dollars. I'm comparing real life
I'm kinda, like, real time, like, thinking about this.
Oh, light bulbs going off?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I don't think about, and I know this is, like,
Well, for you, it's a little
I
different.
was gonna say, it's not the best for me, but,
Oh,
because we're talking about maintenance right now, and so
right.
maintenance is not, is kind of like
It's a roller coaster.
it's Arizona to me, like,
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there a couple times, and it's really nice.
But you're not
Love
there
it,
full
but
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I don't live there. And so I would imagine too that there's almost a way where earned revenue kind of also is your, like, a little bit of a gauge as to where your labor should be at a little bit, you know what I'm saying? In the summertime, again, you're busy and you're earning more than what your monthly payment is coming in. But now there's a cap to that annual amount.
correct.
If I'm getting close to that, I need to make sure that I'm not spending as much.
That you're adjusting.
Again, in the maintenance world where you're not using material, it's all labor. I need to make sure that I'm, like, rationing my labor at that time of the year appropriately.
Right. I
So that,
mean,
because this is where it gets gray and foggy
mm,
for me, but I imagine you can't earn more revenue than the contract allows,
yes.
because now you're going
Y
negative.
right, you will at some point run negative.
And so that's not good.
No, that's where you have to control it. That kind of in turn, if you're changing that to enhancements or projects, that's why you don't wanna bill too much in 1 month because you need it to be as close to actual as possible. That's why our work ticket management in the commercial project world is very important because you don't want that huge gap.
I know. What are we talking about, billing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and see,
You want
like,
your billing to be as close as to much as the system says your earned revenue is,
I think
right?
that I'll admit that I don't necessarily fully get the final say on how much we're billing out in that front. I try
Mhm.
to allow that decision and stuff to be kind of made by somebody else.
Sure.
But
You're consented.
I would say that I personally
Mm.
lean much more conservatively on billing, because the money's coming, right? It's all coming.
Yep.
And I definitely want to maintain the balance. What I want to avoid for sure is having nothing to bill at the end with a bunch of work still to do.
Right.
Very
It's,
frustrated in those situations.
that one apartment complex that we're dealing with,
Mhm.
um, I
That's
was
what was in my
billing
mind.
on our ERP and trying to match it with what we build to the GC directly, and they're not matching. I maxed out the billing on our ERP, but there's still more billing on their version of the software. Unfortunately, there's not really a way to
Marry 'em up.
this time last year. So it's March
I
2
was
is kind of
recovering from my rodeo weekend.
okay. So, but this time last year, we weren't having these kind of conversations. We kind of knew where numbers were. We were a little bit behind. And if I wasn't in the office, there was a lot of things that
We
on the accounting part that were super lagged and
Well, we were relying heavily on what we thought we knew, which was scheduled revenue. So we were talking a lot about scheduled revenue, and then when we were analyzing those numbers, again based on
everything looked good.
other changes, especially as it relates to, like, Blue World for me. Obviously, that's where my mind is all the time. It was very difficult to have those sod numbers caught up in costs because, our vendor was a little bit way lax on sending invoices. And
Yeah.
for us to even, whether they were actually, like, financially being processed, like, it was at least we could get them into the system and and recorded. We weren't even getting them fast
Our
enough.
boundaries were very lax,
Yeah.
very lax.
Now our sub costs were weekly, ready to go.
Talking about the builder world, we had so much volume
Mhm.
then. Even I'm sure we could put a graph
It
and
was
figure
so
out
much
when it
volume.
dropped
It
off
was so much volume that it allowed us to be somewhat
lax.
in the beginning, or in the beginning with specific customers, almost blind to the fact that, like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah,
It's not all bad.
right.
You don't get into the builder world to make buku margins.
Mm-mm.
So
But if you
you
have the
can,
volume, it's
and
easier to swallow.
as we've now learned and talked about, manage the overhead that's attached to it and all this other stuff. You can make respectable money because it's all very steady. It's
Mhm.
it's almost similar to maintenance, where that's not your moneymaker.
Yeah,
That's not your moneymaker. That keeps the books moving.
right, right, right. That's your,
Your foot in the door.
I was gonna say bread and butter, but that makes it sound more glorified, but
It
but
it
it keeps you fed,
Right, right.
right? It doesn't keep your cravings at bay. right? You're like, "Damn, I wish I had a pizza, bloated,
That shit
whatever."
keeps the lights on.
Yeah, but it's a Totino's pizza.
Right, but exactly.
Yeah.
It's still pizza, I love
Yeah,
pepperoni.
you still
But
get fed.
but again, it keeps the lights on, but,
Mm,
like, if you're trying to, like, boost and upgrade, like,
mhm,
okay, now that's where you branch off of those things. So, like, you get model homes with these and model home installations and model home maintenance and
mhm.
enhancements that come with it. Again, specifically talking about the builders, you get punch items that come through, and you
Right.
get shitty vendor repairs that you have to go and save the day. Things like this where you can like actually make good money and good margins. Again, the installs is not that's not where that's at. That's the steady low margin. You're not losing money, but it's nothing to shout about
Right,
either.
but you also gotta keep it tight.
But it's also nonstop,
Yeah,
you
right,
know?
it's continual. As long as the obviously, I think, here in Central Texas, we got really spoiled post-COVID.
COVID was
COVID for, I think, overall.
Austin area was also
Yes, an
an
anomaly,
anomaly.
1000%. But landscapers were considered essential workers. That's really hard for me to swallow because I'm like, yeah, I
I'm
understand
taking
that.
that pat on the back all day.
Yeah,
Like,
and it
hell yeah, we
really
are.
did give us like that huge push, and I'm super thankful for it. But again, if you can compare me to like the nurses and doctors and people in the health field, I'm like, we didn't do shit, guys. Like we just help make sure that things weren't
All the
overgrown and
people that were
crazy.
forced to be home could look out their windows and not be upset.
Exactly. So we played a part. It's a small part, but we still played a part.
Shit.
No.
Except when I had COVID.
I was very thankful for it nonetheless.
No, it was awesome.
So,
Build a world, being spoiled, stuff
yes.
keeping the ball rolling,
Mhm.
machine steaming ahead.
We got, accustomed to Austin, thankfully being a very booming
Market.
situation
Yeah.
in that time period. And now it's drastically slowed down. We just did a quick analysis of our revenue and how much it decreased, and what was it, 80%.
That's up there.
It's a pretty, unfortunately, huge number
We also
comparing.
decreased the
But we also
overhead
yes,
attached to it
we
by
went from
80%.
having an entire team of 6, 7,
6, I would say 6 for sure.
6 for sure, the other one was kind of
No,
a
5,
blend.
5.
Okay,
5
well,
or 6.
we'll
Either
go
way.
with 6.
Anyways,
6 down to just you, and obviously we did what we had to, and some of it was forced, some of it wasn't, but we still have it. Thankfully, you're a strong employee where you can handle most of that stuff, but the market is completely changed in just a matter of 10 months, 8 months, 6 months.
and it varies from builder to builder. I go back and forth on this whole thing of saying names and stuff. But I mean, one builder that we happen to part ways with, I have just through activity noticed that they're sitting on a ton of inventory.
Right.
They're
I
not
mean,
selling.
the houses are when we're comparing builders to builders, it's different, for them, at least, a different market of
It's
people.
difficult though because they're
Yeah.
building in these same areas as
Yeah.
these other builders who
Right.
are not having trouble moving stuff. Not as much trouble,
Right.
right? But like, I you had said or you had brought this up, I think, in one of our meetings with them, with this particular builder that we've now parted ways with. But you're
Mm.
like, man, some of these houses are celebrating birthdays.
Before you have a homeowner.
Right now, I'm talking with another builder. This is yesterday morning, and I was out there, and I think I was just doing a little punch at him for him, some straightening up heads or something like that. We just kind of started chopping it up a little bit in the street, and he was like, "Man, these 2 houses, I just completed them, and they were sold. They're already sold."
Wow.
And I've got another one that I'm working on down the street. Landscape is going in today, and he's like, "That one's sold." And I
Right.
was like, "Nice." Like, I
No,
love that for you
they are
guys.
not cheap houses.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I know that there was a section of this neighborhood in particular that was like damn
Mm.
near on hold.
Yeah.
They have a ton of lots. You see their signs,
Yeah.
a whole section of
Do we
streets.
have that section?
I think so, yeah. A guy just asked him yesterday, and he said, "No, no, no, you guys are our vendor for that
Okay.
area."
Well, I'll get spent.
I was kind of like, "That's why I'm not seeing it."
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, "No, no, no, it's because we haven't started in that area." Now they're actually moving again so much that they're like they have a minimum inventory amount of
Mhm.
houses, basically, so that if somebody comes in and is like, "I want to
They'll
see
have,
your
like,
houses,"
3 spec homes.
8 is their number.
Ooh.
So they have eight houses
Available
that
inventory
they
to
always
buy.
need to have completed and
Okay.
ready to go.
Okay.
So as one sells,
Then they'll start
they're trying to
production.
complete another one.
Okay.
They're trying to, like, keep that gap as minimal as possible. But so in any case, it just released this whole section of this neighborhood where it was, all right, everything in this other section that we've been working in is pretty much done. They're now starting in this other section that's just been sitting for months and
Damn.
months.
Yeah.
I mean, paved streets, curbs, everything's
Right.
good to go,
Yeah.
but not a foundation poured at all.
Not only that, it's also a pretty desirable neighborhood.
Time.
So you don't have kind of like I said my statement for 2025 was like just a massive like growth period and change. A lot of the times I think that people say, oh, growth, that means that like your sales increased and like all of this. Honestly, no, because my sales did decrease. The way that we grew was I'm sure there's a better way to explain this, but on purpose, a decrease.
I was gonna say it's like almost more like you're saying, like when you talk about growth and like business, that is the assumption, right?
Right.
The money and more money,
Right.
more of
You were
this,
busy. You got more
more.
customers, more revenue, more profits, more this.
It's almost like a more of a human level applied to business where it was like major reassessment of everything that we had going on
Mhm.
and then tried to figure out how to make everything that we have going on work smarter.
Mhm.
And second to that was, okay, now how do we add more to that
Right.
in the same way?
Yeah.
Because like prior to that and prior to 2025, we're just slapping things on the list.
Right.
And we weren't really figuring or understanding that some of those things were bad decisions.
Well, for sure. We were definitely reacting
Right.
rather than being proactive and doing the best that we thought was without kind of
With what we knew at the time.
having what's the word? The encouragement or the bandwidth to kind of go outside of what we knew. To like
Gumption.
yeah, yes, the gumption to be like, "Hold on, like, there's gotta be another way at going at this." I think that we were just and it's not to any fault of our own, I think we were so I hate this word, but so busy to kind of sit back and reflect and be, "Okay, how can I do this better?" This is working. A lot of the times your human thoughts are, "Hey, if it's working, if it ain't broken, don't fix it." It was easy at the time because we were so behind on like financial reports to be like, yeah, it's working
To
because
not know that it was broken.
we're paying our bills, everyone's getting their paychecks, we're doing okay. Once the financials finally caught up, we were like, my bad. Damn. Once that time period got closer and closer together, my gosh, we were so lost in the whirlwind of everything that we didn't take the time to sit down and be like, this wasn't working
Yeah.
as much as we thought. We were able to overcome it because we had the volume with the builder world, for example. That always brings true to my head because that's the biggest differentiation when it comes to our revenue.
I mean, at a certain point, it was 60.
It was a huge chunk, and we definitely have a lot of eggs in that basket.
It exploded very
Mhm.
quickly. When I came on, which was in 2019, I don't think it had yet reached 60% because at that time
No.
we weren't working with Pulte or
No, we were just working with, like,
area homes and like we were like finishing out some
Weston.
Weston.
Mhm.
Who else? Nobody else. What was that one that we?
Maybe Dream Fight.
What
No,
was
'cause
that? There's a builder that we used to do.
there was, like, a lot of
It's up in the neighborhood. I'm sorry.
but we did work with Saratoga Homes for a hot second, but
Mhm.
that was different. That was
Right.
mostly mowing,
Yeah.
with some install. Yeah, I would say it definitely, like, exploded, like, 1920
Mhm.
in that time period.
Mm.
Yeah,
Like it really blew up. We expanded
really
one
blew
that
up.
we already had.
Mhm,
And in that time too, we like even kicked one to the curb
mhm.
voluntarily, but then came on with another one and exploded with them.
Yeah, I mean, we do definitely were the builder section of our company, that was, I would say, was our golden year.
At that time too, we were also doing all of that internally.
56. 5 as a whole for me, and I forget this often. I'm only a year and 3 months postpartum, and I don't give myself that credit. When I think of the year, I really truly think of December to January. I give myself a little bit of credit. It was actually April through December. When I'm looking at the rolling 12, I try to think of that as well.
I don't want to toot your horn too much, but I think that nobody gives you credit, which sounds funny because like I said, I'm not going to try to toot your horn, but it's because nobody gives you credit because they just think that you don't turn it off.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, like
Thank you.
my most famous joke is like, and this is with your daughter, like when you were born, like or when she was born, I swear I was getting email notifications from you.
We're just talking
I'm
about
like,
it.
wait a second, aren't you in the hospital?
Yeah.
You're not even done. They're like, push, and you're like, hold on.
I need to send.
That's what I'm thinking in
Yeah.
my mind.
It's not like a badge to wear for sure, but yeah.
I mean, it isn't.
Yeah, it's reality. Yeah.
You're right. Give yourself your credit because people don't give you credit because they're giving you a larger credit just generally.
1000%. I hear you. Thank you for noticing that. I appreciate that.
No, it's
2025 was a whirlwind. I mean, but
change and learning, evolution and
evolution.
and adaptation.
Yep.
I think that if we keep going at it with the same attitude that we attacked 25 with, again, that wasn't the easiest pill to swallow, but those that were able to swallow it, I think are
When you come out on the other side of it, you have a new, different like perspective of it.
yeah, yeah.
It's freeing almost because you've gotten rid of some baggage.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you start working out. You
Yeah.
started lifting a weight that
Yep.
was really, really, really hard to lift.
Yep.
Then eventually you're adding more weight to that.
Mm,
If you stay consistent and you stay at it,
yeah.
that weight that you started that was like, damn, this was so hard. I'm never going to be able to do this.
Mhm.
All of a sudden you're doing 25% on top of that. And you're
Right.
like, holy cow.
What we were talking about earlier, it's like, okay, like I believe that we can do it. I just need to see a little bit more consistency in our numbers so that I can firmly believe in it because we've had really good months, but we have had some not so great months, but a lot of it was because of some accounting adjustments
I
that
was
we
going to
had
say
to
like
do,
reconciling
which was
that
necessary.
had to be done,
It had to be done and it had to be put
but it
somewhere.
made months feel like shit.
It didn't make, and it's, for someone that doesn't fully understand it, it's hard to explain that to, which I can explain it till I turn blue, and then someone will eventually get it.
If you had a credit card bill
Yeah.
that was $1,500 and you had $2,000 in your savings account, and so you feel like you have $2,000, you really don't have $2,000.
That's a good way.
If you take your $1,500 out of savings and you pay down that $1,500 debt, now it feels kind of shitty that you only have $500,
But your debt's paid off.
but that's your money.
Yeah.
And that money is not needed or
Mhm.
indebted anywhere else. So which position are you better in? That's kind of the way I looked at it.
That's a good job.
Appreciate it. 2025 learning lessons.
Yeah, so far 2026
Going well.
is going well.
We got some wrinkles to iron out on
Mhm.
some of the things that we're fledging out. Fully confident that we can and we will,
Mhm.
as long as we all work together,
Mhm.
which we do a really good job of, I think. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in the sauce and get frustrated, just like any human being would.
Right. And it's hard to, I'll just say this from my perspective. It's hard to I know it's hard for some people to see what I'm doing behind the scenes versus people that are out in the field making shit happen. Right. It's easy for it to be like, Tiffany, you have it cush because you get to work in the desk all day and da da da. But little did you know, I'm working on inventory. I'm working on our asset
Yeah, I'm
management.
not
I'm
jealous.
working on
Not
taxes,
jealous of that shit.
on end of month shit, right? And
Appreciate it.
it thanks someone's got to fucking do it. That doesn't mean because I'm not outside sweating my ass off and making shit happen, doesn't mean I ain't doing shit.
No, I know.
Right. I'm not going to sit here and be like, don't forget about me because that's not what it's about. We all have.
I will say for the guy that is out there doing that, same thing reversed.
Mm,
You know, he may not be doing all of these things that are like solidifying the foundation, but he's out there making sure that that freaking money is rolling in
right.
month after month.
I'm going to make sure that the jobs that you give me at this X percent gross margin, I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to fucking beat that. And the
Right.
customer is going to be happy.
That's right.
Our crews are going to be excited, all of those things. So
That's
we all have our all different.
that person's out there making sure that we're out there doing
Exactly.
exactly what it is that we say that we're doing
Mm,
that we're selling to our customers and that our customers are expecting of us.
right. Those the listen, the
Dude, it's a beautiful
it
balance.
is. The ops team has protecting the client experience, protecting the crew experience. And the third is often forgotten about it, but is protecting the company's experience.
And that is the most forgotten.
Yeah, it is. Because it's like, okay, we can't take care of those cool, cool. Okay, but did we make money? Of course, if you do those two things, more than likely you're making money. You do have to keep that in the back of your head because I can protect the client experience and overspend on my materials.
You can protect the crew experience, but overspend on your labor.
Right. So it's an even, yeah, it's a battle. I'm not envious of that.
I was just having the labor conversation yesterday with somebody that was, if one of the priorities set forth by leadership is to like monitor and manage overtime, and we keep scheduling it, how are we going to avoid it?
Yeah, if you planned for it, of course it's going to happen.
Right. It's just it's ass. It's just
The constant roller coaster.
the ebb and flow and the balance of it
Mhm.
is like, right.
The amount of times I've had ebb and flow this week, do I even know what that means?
I would hope so.
Yes, I know what it means. But yeah.
This was a good
This was a good high five.
Return
High
of the
five.
Jedi, dude.